Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday afternoon. Hope yours is going well. We've got another Seahawks video to get to today, but first, I don't know how many subscribers I have because this was recorded ahead of time, but shout out to all the subscribers. And special tip of the cap goes to the channel members, especially elite channel members, Y2KHA, Brendon, Mikel, Scott, Todd, Hasher for MVP, VGK Tiger 75, Salacious, Crumb, Guy, and Brendan Nelson's haircut. All right, so the next position of clear and obvious need for the Seahawks going into this offseason. Well, I think that is actually pretty clear. We are going to be taking a look at tight end today because the Seahawks need some help at this position. Greg Olsen, retired. Jacob Hollister, free agent. Luke Wilson, probably going to retire or go back to his couch and wait for a practice squad to call him up. So going into the offseason right now, the Seahawks have two tight ends on the roster. Will Dissly, who had a respectable 2020 season and might finally be able to actually stay on the field, which is good, and is a good guy to have around for sure, but you're not exactly thrilled about making him your top tight end. And Colby Parkinson, who may have potential, but we didn't really see him at all in 2020, and I'm not willing to bet my 2021 season on him being a guy who can bring in 500 receiving yards. So, yeah. Not only do the Seahawks need depth, they kind of just need an infusion of talent at the tight end position. Now, before I dive into the possibility of replacing our lost tight ends with the tight ends already on the roster, because I'm sure the possibility will come up in the comments, Will Dissly and Colby Parkinson, there's some upside there. And it is possible the reason why Dissly didn't do very much last year and why Colby basically didn't play was because Brian Schottenheimer didn't really want to utilize tight ends in that way. And under a new offensive coordinator and a new scheme, maybe Will Dissly can become the guy that we saw a little bit of in 2018 and 2019. Maybe Colby Parkinson can become a great receiving tight end who can also spread out wide more than just about any other tight end in the NFL. It is possible. In that case, we would just need a body. But if you're like me and you're kind of done on the Will Dissly thing, you just feel like it's not going to be what it was in 2018 or 2019, and if you're also skeptical about Parkinson, then this is the video for you because we're going to take a look at some options to fill the void at the tight end position. So let's start with free agency. And there are some names here for sure. We're going to skip past a couple of them. We're not going to get Rob Gronkowski. If he comes back to play, it will be with Brady in Tampa, I'm sure. Going to skip Hunter Henry. He's the tight end who stands to make the most money this offseason probably. And I just feel like it's a little out of the price range for a guy who gets hurt a lot. Going to skip Robert Tonyan Jr. And our first stop on this list will be with Greg Olsen 2.0, as I call him, or Jared Cook. The man is going to turn 34 years old next year. He's had a long, fruitful career. He's made the Pro Bowl twice in the last 3 seasons. He's been productive. If he signs to a team that utilizes him in 2021, he will likely get to 7,000 career receiving yards. And look, he's a decent player. But if you sign him, you're getting Greg Olsen 2.0, and you're just hoping that this time it actually works out a little bit, because obviously the Greg Olsen 1.0 did not work well. And 2, you better make sure you don't give him the Greg Olsen money, because if there was one big black mark on the Seahawks offseason last year, it was giving Greg Olsen $7 million to bring in 200 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. So, yeah. Jared Cook is a great option if you just want to kick the can down the road 1 year and say, hey, we'll worry about tight end next year. But beyond that, it's certainly not all that sexy of a pick. And his PFF grade last year, by the way, 71.9, which is quite good. So, yeah, bringing in Jared Cook would be a respectable way to push the problem back a year and figure out a long-term answer in the next offseason. All right, so let's go back down the list, and we come to Jonnu Smith. And this is a player that I like a lot. I'm rather fond of Jonnu Smith. He's relatively young. He's going to be 26 next year. He's been in Tennessee for 4 seasons. And as you can see, his production has gone up with each passing year, culminating in a 2020 where he had 450 yards and 8 touchdowns. Great red zone threat, somebody who was pretty reliable in the passing game. His catch percentage is not the best, but he made up for it in volume. So Jonnu Smith would be the guy you get if you want to get a sure thing that has a chance to be a franchise high-quality tight end for the next 5-6 years. So Jonnu Smith is the option if you decide we're going to take the tight end position really seriously going forward. Jonnu Smith's PFF grade last year was 75.2, which is obviously very good. And because he's so high-profile a player, Spotrac actually does the contract projection for you, and it determines that he's going to demand quite a bit of money. 5 years, $40.4 million, $8 million a year. So if you get Jonnu Smith, you're going to be paying quite a bit of money. So this is the option if you're willing to build up the tight end position at the expense of something else. Like you cut Bobby Wagner to bring in Jonnu Smith. You get rid of Jerron Reed to get Jonnu Smith. Something like that. So this would be a big investment, but if you really want to get a high-quality, sure thing, lock it in, big-time tight end, I think Jonnu Smith is the guy. I like him more than Hunter Henry. I think it's more likely to work out well than Hunter Henry, so this would be the guy if you're really looking to cook. All right, back to the list. We're going to go down a couple spots to the name that pretty much every Seahawks fan has probably already said in the last month or so because it's so obvious that we would have an interest in this player. Gerald Everett of the Los Angeles Rams. Hey, the dude has played with Shane Waldron for the last couple years. Wouldn't it just make a lot of sense if Shane Waldron wanted to bring one of his boys over? The dude is turning 27 in 2021, so still reasonably young, and his last 2 seasons have been nicely productive. He's got over 400 receiving yards in each season, only 3 touchdowns, which is a little odd for a tight end who likes to spread out wide quite often, but it's one of those things that just happens from time to time, occasionally. And you can put a lot of that on the quarterback he was playing with. We all know that Jared Goff is not the greatest quarterback in the world, so these stats are solid. They're a cut lower. They're, a cut or 2 below what we saw with Jonnu Smith, but it makes sense that a guy like Gerald Everett might be a good fit for the offense that Shane Waldron might be looking to implement in 2021. So if we bring in Gerald Everett in 2021, it would not be surprising. It makes a lot of sense. His PFF grade in 2020 was 62.8, which is fine. No red flag here. It's not amazing, but it's fine. And Spotrac has once again done the work of calculating a potential contract for him, and they put him in the $7.3 million per year range. 3 years, $22 million. Now, the cap going down may negatively affect Gerald Everett's deal. He's not a high-profile enough player to demand the top dollars. So this could easily become like 3 years, $15 million, 3 years, $18 million. And you're investing a decent chunk of change in Gerald Everett if you give him a deal like that. But it's not something you have to reform your franchise around. So this is a good option if you want to spend resources on getting a quality tight end, but you don't want to completely devote your offseason to it. You could get Gerald Everett and still have money left over. All right. The final name is the option if you don't want to spend a bunch of money, but you still want to get somebody with some upside, because there's no point in getting a mediocre tight end in free agency, right? We already have one mediocre tight end and one guy who might be mediocre. If you're going to go in free agency and spend money on a tight end, you should get somebody who you feel confident is better than Will Dissly. So Mo Alley-Cox of the Colts, I know he's an ERFA this offseason, so the Colts are likely to keep him, but if they don't, then he'll be out there, and I don't see any reason to believe that he's in line for a big contract. He's not a high enough profile player to demand the bucks of a guy like a Jonnu Smith or a Gerald Everett. And this is despite the fact he's actually been pretty productive. or at least in 2020 he was. He had a breakout season, almost 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, caught almost 80% of his targets. So nice tight end. He's got some upside to him. He might be a lot better than he's shown so far in the NFL. If you get him, you're getting somebody who has shown that he's better than Will Dissly is right now and has the upside to be a lot better. So, yeah, Mo Alley-Cox would be the option if you want to be cheap, but you also want to give yourself a chance at something good. His PFF grade was really good in 2020, 78.2, and I would guess that Mo Alley-Cox is going to get something around like 2 years, $9 million, or 2 years, $10 million. It's a little hard to project with these guys, but I'm not seeing the buzz around Mo Alley-Cox, so I don't think he's going to command top dollar. And those would be my choices if you want to attack the tight end position in free agency. There are 1 or 2 other names out there, but those are the 4 guys that would appeal to me in one way or another as of right now. All right, so let's take a look at the draft now. And once again, here are our picks: 2nd rounder, 4th rounder, 5th, 6th, 7th. That's what we have going into 2021. Those are the picks that we, as of right now, have. So, once again, I'm really not into the idea of using our 2nd round pick on a tight end. Not saying that I wouldn't get excited if we got a guy I really liked with the 2nd round pick, but it's not really something that makes a lot of sense to me right now. So I'm going to be focusing on guys you can get in the 4th round or later. We're going to go to the Draft Network and try to familiarize ourselves with who that might be. And there are 3 names here that jumped out to me when I pulled up this page. The first guy is prospect number 137 as of right now, Hunter Long of Boston College. He's big at 6'5". He was very productive as a senior with 57 catches and almost 700 yards. He was a good blocker. He did a lot of route running. He has a couple of minor things to work on, but this is a player who would have a very good chance to join the team as a rookie and have a very fat rookie season. So Hunter Long was the first guy who stuck out to me as, hey, we could get this guy and he might be impactful as a rookie. Next name here is Trey McKinney from Georgia, 6'4" as well, also reasonably big. He was the move tight end for the Bulldogs offense. He's athletic. He's a capable blocker, which I know is probably going to be important to the team, even without Brian Schottenheimer in there. And he's great at run after the catch, which fits in well with the offense that I expect Shane Waldron to be trying to implement. So Trey McKinney, and last name is Kenny Yeboah, Ole Miss tight end, also pretty big at 6'4", and he's a receiving tight end as well. So I feel like there's some good versatility here. I think that he could be a capable blocker. It might take a year or 2 of seasoning, but it seems like he could be a threat in the passing game pretty immediately. So those are the 3 names that stuck out to me as guys who you could draft and get something out of as a rookie. So if we lose Jacob Hollister and we roll into the free agency period, or March, with 2 tight ends on the roster, this is how I would consider filling the gap. Get one of those 4 free agents, or get one of those 3 draft prospects. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on these prospects over the next couple months, try to figure out if their stocks are going up or going down, and we may see some new potential prospects make themselves obvious. That's my take on the tight end position. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. See you guys in stream later. That's my take on the tight end spot. What's yours? Let me know down in the comments, and see you guys later.